So the tuition fee is ridiculous. It's 32,000 for internationals, but for people who are Dutch or EU actually, for EU nationals, it's 2,000 euros. So the difference is 2 and 32. That's 30,000 difference. I love my university. University, make me an ambassador, please, because I love my university. Have I said that enough? How many? If you count how many, I love my university.
Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Studies in the Netherlands. And here I have with me Hillmann. He's going to do more introduction on himself later on. And also I want to say finally I have a guy on this series. It's been ladies throughout and I've been hearing some feedback, but here is a guy. So yeah, Hillmann is currently studying medicine in the Netherlands and there's a lot that Hillmann has to share. There are a lot of questions here, but Hillmann is not camera shy, so he would have a lot to say.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, definitely check them out. But without further ado, let's start with the introduction.
I think that's fitting. Yeah.
What is your name? Where do you come from? Are you single?
Oh, that was part of the okay. So I am Hillmann. Hillmann Batuo is the name. I am from Cameroon. So I was born in Cameroon in a city called Boya, Southwest region. I grew up in Cameroon as well, and I moved to the Netherlands in 2016.
It's 7 years already.
It's been 7 years already. So I moved here in 2016 to study predominantly, and since then I've been here.
So you've been studying for 7 years?
6.5 years. So I took a while to integrate into the Netherlands, and then I applied for med school.
Oh, so you were here even before your studies
Before my
started?
studies, yeah. So I didn't come directly to the uni, no.
Gonna share a bit of that as we progress.
Yeah.
The first and most important question is, there are several places you could study. Why did you choose the Netherlands?
Good question. Because in Cameroon, so fun story, I partook in a math Olympics contest. So from the math Olympic contest when I was in high school, I was third place. And part of the third place package, like the compensation you get for that, is you get a scholarship to Germany. And that program like took you to Germany with like a freshman program, and then after that you can get admission to the university for a way cheaper price. German education is free, but like that program was specifically for like private universities that would normally not be free. And then when I finished, a friend of mine wanted me to really come to America, so he applied for scholarships for me without me actually like doing anything. I got a scholarship to North Carolina. That meant I would pay 10K a year instead of 23. And then of course I had the Netherlands. And the Netherlands for me was just a cheaper option because of my circumstances, which I think we're going to go into later.
Yeah.
So the Netherlands was just a cheaper option because I would pay in America for 1 year what I would pay here in 5 years. So for me it was like a no-brainer, because here I would pay like 2,000 a year.
Yeah.
In America I'll pay 10,000 a year just on tuition. So I was like, yeah. The decision to come here was almost purely a financial one, because I wanted to go to America as well, because who doesn't from Cameroon, right? But the decision to come here was just a cheaper one for me, which is because of my unique circumstances.
And so far, would you say you have, aside finances, would you say that you probably would have learned better maybe in America or in Germany?
I think for knowledge, I might have been a more competitive and knowledge-driven person in America, because America is just a competitive system, and if you go there, you're trying to like get into the rat race and get up there.
Yeah.
But I think me being in the Netherlands has positioned me in a much better way to become my better self, like the best version of myself, which is detached from the performances, academics and everything. Just me as a person, I discovered myself better in the Netherlands. And I think that's something which I don't know if I would have had in Germany, but I definitely think I would have had way less if I went to America.
Well, interesting. Now, I'll be curious what the application process was like for you. I mean, you mentioned that you had some offers or some people helping you.
Applying to come to the Netherlands?
Yes.
Or applying for university?
Maybe both.
You cannot detach both of them in my situation, because my application to come to the Netherlands was one of the simplest. Right, it was really simple, because when I finished high school in Cameroon, I did half a year of university there, just to like basically burn time till I could come, because I had family here and my family was gonna like apply for me to come join them after I finished high school.
Yeah.
So when I finished high school, it was just like, okay, I don't know how the system works, so they did all the applications for me.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was fly to Benin, pick up my visa, and fly to the Netherlands.
Benin Republic.
Benin Republic.
Okay, yeah.
So the country.
Yeah.
Because they don't have an embassy in Cameroon.
Same thing with Nigeria.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I saw a couple of Nigerians when I was there.
Yeah, I had to go to Ghana in my case.
I wanted to go to Ghana, but Ghana was expensive. I was like, oops. So that was the application to come here, right? But the application for medicine in the Netherlands, that was a different story. Whew, that was a different story. I don't know if you want to go into that now.
Yeah, I mean, why not? How
Yeah.
big of a story is it?
It was because I did not come to the Netherlands to study medicine in the first place. Maybe that's important. I don't know if you knew that, but I came here to study artificial intelligence. But at the time, I was obsessed about making robots. I love the brain. So if I could recreate the brain or like recreate a form of the brain in an artificial thing and have that like help people, just imagine you have a robot doing everything for you. I just wanted to make life easier for people. So if I could recreate the brain, which I so love, put it in an artificial thing and like let that help people, fantastic idea, right? But when I came here, unfortunately, there were no bachelor programs for AI. I had to look for the next best alternative to help people. What other thing could I study? What else could I do that would enable me help people in the way I wanted to help people with AI? And then medicine was like, it was the easiest thing that could come to mind because all my family wanted me to study medicine. Everyone in my school thought I was studying medicine. It was in my subconscious somewhere.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's easy to pull back.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, you've made the decision you want to study medicine, but go and apply now, let's see. So the application process was like, okay, I have to submit my portfolio, but my degree from Cameroon was not recognized. So I had to go to the Dutch government first, to Nuffic, to recognize my diploma. They told me I had to go back to high school, there's 6 years of high school in the Netherlands. I had to go back to the 5th year of high school. So then I'll have to study Dutch first, go to the 5th year of high school, do 5th year, 6th year of high school, then apply to university. I was like, you people are not serious in this country. And I know our education in Cameroon is solid. High school education in Cameroon is rigorous. It will train you, it will give you the theoretical knowledge. Practical, less. But theory, we are solid. So there was no way I was going to like accept that decision.
Yeah.
Like how do you call it? I objected their decision. And because I had been to university in Cameroon for like half a year, thank God I did that. That enabled them to say, okay, we're not sure you're up to our level, but because you have been to a university in Cameroon, we allow the university you're applying to decide whether they'll admit you or not. So that was the first step for Nuffic. And then thankfully I applied to Maastricht University to study medicine. They did their own research. Even then, because they had not had anyone from Cameroon before, so they didn't know what the Cameroonian diploma was like.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine not a lot of people apply for medicine for multiple reasons, but we'll talk about that later. They didn't have my diploma in their system. So that meant I had to apply for my transcripts from Cameroon. I had to ask my teachers in Cameroon to send letters via post. I had to ask the questions, like the exams you make in Cameroon, the final exams.
Yeah.
I had to ask for the final exam questions that I took 2 years back. And those questions I had to send to the university for them to really see that everything I did was up to their level. It was crazy.
Is this just for medicine or is this for other courses?
I would assume this is a specific thing for medicine because I think you have other Cameroonians applying to international business and applying to law and stuff like that. But the thing is medicine, because of the tuition fee, which we're going to talk about later, it's not a program which a lot of internationals from like African countries apply to.
Yeah.
So then they're not really familiar with that. And you need like biology, chemistry, physics, and math.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other courses, you don't need that.
Yeah.
So I need to like show them that my physics knowledge is up to what they expect.
I see. Wow. It was university here, Maastricht, right?
Maastricht University.
After sending all these things to the university, was it a lot of back and forth or was it like an easy decision for them?
I think it was a lot of back and forth because I had so much uncertainty. There's no one I knew who came from where I came from, who has done what I'm doing or who has studied medicine here. So it was just like, for me, I had to figure out a lot of things. So that sent me like mailing them back and forth. And because of that mailing back and forth, I could get more clarity of what was expected. So thankfully, they replied all my mails. So I got all the documents from Cameroon, got all the recommendation letters, sent to the university. But it was so nerve-wracking because I had to wait for them to tell me if my physics, chemistry, biology, math was up to standards. And biology, I love biology, right? I love the human body. Math, I was like I could wake up and do math. But then physics and chemistry were things which I really studied hard to pass and to get like A grades. So if you ask me to come and answer questions in physics 2 years later, like 2 years after I left high school, in another language, because I would have to do that in Dutch.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that. So like that was very nerve-wracking, waiting for the results of like waiting for them to tell me if I was up to their level or not.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the exact same day the email came in. I was in the gym. I couldn't breathe for a second. Like just the joy was overwhelming. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't accepted. They just told me your physics is okay. I was like that was the first step before before even getting to like saying you can partake in the selection for medicine, that was just like your physics, biology, chemistry is okay. That's something which normally people who study here know before they apply that it's okay.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I, because of my background, had to go through a lot
All
more
those
things for getting to
things.
that.
And then after everything, then the admission finally came in.
The selection came in, so then you have to go through the selection for medicine. This was just the pre-work.
Oh.
So if you do IB, for example, international business, like international baccalaureate, you know your diploma is recognized everywhere.
Okay.
But for Cameroon, no one knows. So you have to like prove to them that your diploma is okay. So this was just me proving to them that my diploma is okay.
First, okay, before they consider you.
Before they consider you for the program.
But I mean, it's interesting that you say you came here for AI because I also used to be interested in robots and
Oh,
all
yeah?
those things. And while I was in Nigeria, I was looking specifically for mechatronics. It's like a
Oh.
combination of mechanical and electronics, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of school options there. My mom was like, do electrical first,
Mm-hmm.
then for your master's, do mechanical. Then at the end of the day, it's
Combined.
mechatronics.
More math.
Yeah, more math. But then there was no school that gave me electrical.
Oh, for tops, yeah.
So I only found computer science, and I think for me so far now I'm like, I'm good I stuck with computer science. If now, I'll probably still, I don't know, be in school
Be a mechanic.
or now doing the masters to add everything together.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how journeys can change based on
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's
based
why
on situations.
yeah, you have to be open to flexibility and like
Yeah.
things changing and not going the way you expect them to go.
I mean, that's already a lot of information.
Right?
shared.
We've not even talked the whole process, but I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's already a good idea of what to
Yeah.
expect. My next question is that I know you're currently doing your bachelor's.
Masters.
The question was going to be, would you be interested in doing masters in medicine? Wait, you're doing your masters, but you're also doing your bachelor's.
No, I already finished the bachelor's. Because that's the interesting thing with the medical program
Okay.
here, right? Normally in Germany, in the US, and in England, for example, it's one medical program. So when you start, you have to you finish, and then when you finish, you get a bachelor's in medicine, BS, MBBS, whatever it's called, and then you're a doctor, an MD. But in the Netherlands, for multiple reasons, they have it split into two. So the medical program is one, so you don't become a doctor until you finish the 6 years, but then you have 3 years of bachelor's, and then after that you get a BSc in medicine, and then 3 years of master's, and then after you get an MSc in medicine or
Yeah.
an MD. For example, if you stop in your 4th year in the Netherlands, you have your bachelor's to show for it, which you can use to study something else like global health, public health,
Yeah.
and whatever. But in Germany, if you finish in your 4th year, you don't have anything to show for the last 3 years. You know what I mean?
Because
you
you
have to
haven't
finish.
gotten the
You haven't
bachelor's
gotten a
yet.
degree yet.
Wow, okay.
But here you get a degree, bachelor's in medicine, to show that you've been studying medicine for the past 3 years. And I think it's partly due to the fact that Dutch people like taking a break. They like their gap years and stuff. So if there's a logical break in there, you can easily take a gap year after your bachelor's, like a lot of my classmates do.
Yeah.
I also took a half gap year, and then you can like go do something, refresh yourself before coming to the master's. The bachelor's was you get the theory, you get the knowledge, you know all about the
Yeah.
body's normal functioning, the body's abnormal functioning, pathologies, diseases, and all that kind of stuff. The master's is you're going into the hospitals to apply it. So I know in a lot of countries it starts in your 4th year. They're called the clinical years. That means you're just rotating from the internal medicine department, surgery, gynecology, obstetrics.
So in this case, you don't even have a choice. If you're coming to do medicine here, you have to do the two together.
Yeah, if you want to be a doctor.
The third question, and I think you already gave a bit of insight because you mentioned this was a deciding factor for you. The question here says for bachelor's, but I would just say what's the tuition fees like for your program?
So the tuition fee is ridiculous. It's 32,000 for internationals, just tuition fee without like accommodations and stuff like that. But for people who are Dutch or EU actually, for EU nationals, it is
I thought you were
2,000.
referring to me. I was like, me?
No,
EU.
for EU nationals, it's
Okay.
2,000 euros. So the difference is 2 and 32. That's 30,000 difference.
Are you surprised? When I heard that, I was blown.
Right.
What is this gap? That's like 30K.
It's ridiculous. It's 30K. It's ridiculous.
And this is per year.
This is per year.
Bruh.
Yeah. So then I would have to pay, like, I'll pay 2,000 for 6 years, and that's like 12,000 for my whole medical program.
In your case, you have a family here, so you're
Yeah.
able to claim.
Exactly.
Like,
So I had parents here, so I could claim the benefits of being someone who was
Hmm.
Dutch. Like, the only people who can afford the tuition fee here, whom
Old
I've
money.
seen who paid it, were people from Saudi Arabia.
Old
and like
money
the government paid. Like exactly. unless you're Dangote's son, and then you can probably afford it. But then you have to learn Dutch here. That's a limitation.
we'll move to the language barrier as we progress. That tuition fees is actually.
It's wild.
If I had 32K, I would just start a business.
It's
I mean,
flat wild.
I could save the world in other ways. But apart from medicine, I know some other courses. You're somewhere around 12K, 15K. But what other course would you say is also has this ridiculous
For
fees.
bachelor's or master's, I know more about
Yeah, I mean, now it's confusing when it's combined, but
right.
let's stick with
Yeah,
bachelor's.
I think I'm not sure because in Maastricht, for example, you have bachelor's in psychology and IB, which are also international. Bachelor's were around 11,000
Okay.
for international business and economics and business economics as well. Those were like 11,000
For internationals.
for international students.
And
So
non-internationals.
2,000. So everyone pays 2,000 here for every program if you're Dutch, except the liberal arts and sciences program. That's 4,000. Normally, the bachelors are 11,000 in the School of Business and Economics, and the masters were like 17, 15. So they're a little more expensive than the bachelor.
Right. You can also see the difference. Speaking with somebody that has been here for 6 years, the way he's breaking down everything and giving exceptions. Well, except this, except that, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying, but if you say so. But I mean, it's also nice. One of the reasons why I'm so excited to have Hillmann here is he has so much experience here from learning the language. But anyways, moving on. The next question was going to be, how were you able to afford these tuition fees? We already give a bit of answer to that there. You have parents here, so you were able to partake in the 2K.
Yeah, but that was just partaking in, like that was just qualifying for 2K tuition because I still had to take loans to pay.
So there is tuition fees, 2K, and then there are other expenses too. I mean, you don't live under a bridge, I believe. All these other expenses, how are you able to afford them?
For that, yeah. My family is still not. We're okay. We can just make ends meet. Because here in the Netherlands, you can, if you qualify for the tuition fee, you can also take loans, studiefinanciering, and that can like cover tuition fee, so give you like a monthly allowance to pay your
So the
tuition
way
fee.
he called the Dutch name, student fee or whatever he said.
What did you say?
I don't know. I had student fee
Studiefinanciering. That's study financing. But that covers your tuition fee, covers like, it gives you a loan to study, and it also gives you like an extra scholarship based on your parents' income.
Free money.
Technically. I would explain a little further. So I got the extra scholarship because my parents' income was not that high.
Yeah.
So then that means I really get like quite good amount of money to study every month. Some part of it, the loan part, you have to pay back. Like the loan is like 1/3 of the total amount you get. So let's say you get like 1,000 euros a month.
Yeah.
The loan is 400. And then the extra scholarship will be 400. And then the tuition money they give you will be like 200.
The loan is 400.
Yeah. So you get a total amount, but not the whole thing is a loan. Part of it is a scholarship.
And the other one is the
other one is like the money they give you for tuition fee. Like they split it into different categories.
I thought the tuition fee would be part of the loan.
So let me just finish this.
Okay.
So when if you have this 3 parts, part of it is also like free travels, but that doesn't really count as a financial amount. You just have free travels.
Yeah.
If you complete your degree, you pay back the loan, the tuition fee, but you don't pay back the scholarship and the free travels.
When you say travels, are you talking about transportation or travels outside the
No,
Netherlands?
free travels in the Netherlands. So like every student gets free travels in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But if you are not in the Netherlands, you're studying in a different country, then that you get that as an amount.
Okay.
Because you cannot travel with their public transportation system.
Yeah. Is there any case where you have to pay everything?
If you don't graduate. So if you start a degree and you don't finish, you have to pay back everything.
Kind of like, how do you say it? This lad went up. Why? Quick announcement or quick advert. Anyways, I hope you're enjoying this series so far. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, definitely check them out. A lot has been shared around the topic of studies in the Netherlands and even different tips on scholarship. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like, share with anybody who you believe will find it helpful, and you can also subscribe for more videos like this. And one more thing, if there's any course you're interested in which I haven't covered in this series so far, let me know in the comments below and I will try to find the people studying this course and hopefully have them on one of this series. Anyways, let's get back to this episode and don't forget to subscribe. So these people paying back everything is kind of like an investment, such that if you fulfill the investment, then you don't need to return everything.
Yeah.
But if you don't fulfill the investment, you must return everything.
You must return everything.
But is there a penalty?
No, because their goal is to make sure that everyone who wants education gets the education, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to facilitate that.
Yeah.
So if you just want to get money from them and don't necessarily get the education, then you have to pay back everything.
Yeah.
And because of the Netherlands, they have their ways of getting their money back from them.
No, we've talked about tuition fees, but I'll also be curious what the scholarships are like for medicine. In the previous episode, I've had different things, OKP, ASP, bunch of them.
Yeah.
What is it like for medicine?
So there are no scholarships for medicine, as far as I know. The only people who had scholarships were people from Saudi Arabia because their government paid. The government sent them here to study. But
so in this case, it wasn't even Netherlands, Spain. It was their own government.
It was their own government. I've been trying to do research into it. If there are private people who can like finance studies for people who want to come here. but like I haven't been able to find anything yet. I worked with the scholarships office because I worked with the visa office for a while, and I worked with the visa office of the university, and I worked with the scholarships office of the university. Try to always ask why this was the case. It's just a lot of money. 32,000 for one person, and then you have to guarantee that that person comes and actually can go through the whole education, studying Dutch and everything. It's just hard to guarantee. So I think it costs like 200 euro, 200,000 to train a doctor.
Wow.
So then they'll be investing 200,000 euros in one person,
Wow.
whom they're not sure is going to finish.
Now, I don't know how much insight you have into this, but I'll also be curious why international students have this. I want to look at it like a disadvantage, sort of. But I don't know if you have any explanation to it. Why is it this expensive?
Because the governments of the countries in the EU are trying to motivate their youth to get educations.
Yeah.
Right? Part of that plan is to subsidize education. So it's not like the education is cheap for them. The education is
We
subsidized.
are paying for them.
No.
Okay.
It's not so the program, medical program costs 32,000
Okay.
for everyone. So it costs 32,000 to train a doctor per year. So 200,000 in general, more or less.
Yeah.
But because the Dutch government or the EU government says we want to make our students be able to go to university and not worry about money, we subsidize the education for them. So that means the government is paying 30K for every student who's going to school.
So that's the case of Saudi then. They also sort of subsidize.
Yeah, basically. So the government is encouraging their students to study. That's why the tuition fees are that low.
I think this makes sense because I've always been curious why that
Yeah.
gap is much.
Yeah.
To the next question. Can you give us more? I mean, you already shared a bit about rotations and some of these things, but can you give us a bit more information on how your program works and also how your program is different from other programs?
I think because this is something I'm so passionate about, I think the university has to make me an ambassador because the way I preach about their program is not even normal. Like, I should get paid for this.
Hopefully they watch this video.
Right, Magic University, tune in. But I really love the program in Maastricht, and that's part of the reasons why I applied to the university. In Cameroon, you have the system in the university where you go, take lectures, exam period, write exams, pass, next course.
Yeah.
Right? Here you have a different system in Maastricht and I think Groningen. So some universities have this system. It's called the problem-based system of learning, which means you are studying based on problems. So every piece of knowledge you get is tied to a specific solution which you can use that knowledge to solve. Here, my program makes sure that every knowledge you get, you have a good understanding of how that knowledge is applied in the real world. That means we have more tutorials than lectures.
Yeah.
Because in the tutorials, you discuss problems.
Yeah.
Problems. Based on the problems, you go find like learning goals.
Yeah.
And based on the learning goals you formulate, you go do your own research. So everyone is like, we're literally answering while learning, we're teaching ourselves. Have learning goals, go do your own research. Everyone goes and does their own research.
Yeah.
Comes back the next time, the next tutorial group, which is the same week, presents their findings. So it's not like you just go to the lecture hall getting knowledge. No, you're actively
Applying
involved
knowledge.
with your
Interesting.
knowledge acquisition process and actively seeing how that knowledge is applied in the real world. Also,
This is for your bachelor's and also master's.
Bachelor's, predominantly bachelor's, because
Okay.
bachelor's is the phase where you get all the information.
Yeah.
Next to this, we have like skills labs where we go like practice injections from year one. You practice how to inject people. You practice how to feel body parts, tumors like on each other. And sometimes they bring external people so you can practice on. You have special types of education where you practice your patient consultation skills. How would you react with a patient? How do you react to emotional things?
Yeah.
If you have to tell a patient they have cancer, how do you transmit that kind of news? These are things which I know my friends who study medicine in America and Cameroon don't have this practical, like this problem-oriented way of studying. And the master's is just rotations. Hospital, rotations every day. Sometimes you have like one day in a week where you come back to the faculty to like discuss what you've been seeing in the hospital.
Yeah.
But that's like once a week max. The rest of the week you're in the hospital.
And this is how it has been for in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Fantastic about my program is that you can go abroad. So I spent 4 months in Aruba and then part of it in Amsterdam instead of Maastricht. So you can like
Part of the rotation is going abroad.
you can go abroad if you want. So you have electives. A lot of my classmates go to Tanzania, to Ghana, South Africa, Uganda, Suriname, Ethiopia. There's like specific partner universities or partner institutions.
Those travels, are they part of the travel extra funds or is it part of the school?
No, so you cover part of the cost, but it's subsidized. So they want you to go abroad and get this experience. They want their students to be doctors of the world.
Yeah.
So they kind of want to facilitate that for you. So like I went to Aruba and I came back. I of course spent a lot more than they gave me, but they gave me a specific amount, which in their estimation should be able to help you cover some costs.
Okay. Now, you said something about rotations, and my next question was going to be about internships. How does it work with your masters in this case? But I believe internships is basically the rotations.
Yeah. In the bachelor's, I did some rotations in Ghana, in Rwanda. Like I traveled myself, but those were things I arranged myself. So you can also arrange some other internships if you want to work in the summer or if you want to do extra stuff.
Yeah.
But in the master's, all the internships are planned out for you, except you want to go abroad because you also have the opportunity to arrange some stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Like the university has options for you, but if you're like, nah, I know someone in America who is doing a really cool research project, I want to do my research internship with them.
Yeah.
You have to arrange that yourself.
Okay, yeah.
And then that's something you can plan yourself, and then the faculty helps you facilitate that. But normally they plan everything for you unless you have things which you find interesting and you want to explore, which they encourage, then you have to do that yourself. I love the program.
Yeah.
Like the room to grow in the program. It's like the bachelor's, there's just so many extracurricular things you can do and so many things you can involve yourself in. Learn, there's just so many opportunities to grow as a person and not just an academic, which makes the whole university just for me. Like I love
I mean, why wouldn't you love it? You're paying 2K. So
That's not the point, Dillian. That's not the point.
yeah, moving on, and this is quite an interesting question. What is it like for you with extracurricular activities combined with your with your program?
Yeah. Because the thing is, I came into the program with the mindset of this is medicine, this is going to be my life. You cannot do anything next to medicine because that's the rhetoric we get in Cameroon. Once you're in there, that's it. That's all you can be. And for the first 3 years, that's predominantly what I did. I was, of course, in the bachelor's. I was in the basketball club, so I try to keep myself active.
Yeah.
I was in the board of the basketball club. I was in the honors program. I was in the honors plus program, and I was
What
also.
does that mean?
Yeah, it's like an extra program for extra ambitious students to do more.
Wow.
Yeah. And like the honors program is from the faculty, the honors plus is from the university. So you work with like business students, you work with law students, you work with engineering students, you work with like all of the faculties.
This is for anybody interested.
Yeah,
Anybody
but it's
who
mostly
claims to be-
very like ambitious students, like students who are like topping their.
Do they select these people or you apply?
You apply and then make your application, they select you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're very.
So it's a very
ambitious.
interesting space. Yeah, I was. It's a very interesting space. Everyone is like just.
God.
Everyone is so
Said
type
I
A.
was. What
But
changed?
no, that's a joke. But I was ambitious in different ways. I did that, and I was the president of the Honors Association, and then I also did like extracurriculars for surgery and stuff like that. But those are all still things geared towards building my CV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to the masters, then I start realizing, okay, the hospital is feeling a little different than I expected. Like it's not necessarily what I expected from the hospital. It's not what I envisioned it to be. I'm not having as many fulfilling patient interactions like I wished I would have or I thought I was going to have. So then I started like looking for ways to do more things around that give me energy, right? I had already been making YouTube videos for a while since COVID, because COVID came before I started the masters. And from the YouTube videos, I was coaching people, like giving people information. I get energy from this. I like doing this. So I tried to be intentional in creating time to do more stuff next to rotations that give me energy.
Yeah.
So I started coaching more. I started making more videos. I started traveling more. And once I realized how much energy I got from this, I could not stop doing them. Traveled aggressively, coached aggressively, mentored aggressively,
One question.
YouTube aggressively.
How many countries have you not been to?
Oh.
I think that's the best question.
Okay, that's a lot. So if it was in Europe, yeah, you could count how many countries I've not been to in Europe. But I've been to 32 countries in general.
Wow.
And this year 17. So like I'm really proud of that. But I've been to some countries multiple times. So I've traveled more than 20, 40 times this year. Yeah, it's a lot.
Let the poor breathe.
So the masters, I really started doing these things I'm passionate about. And I think once I started doing it, I couldn't stop. And that has just like fired that side of me that wants to like really grow as a person and like explore my other talents. So there are a lot of things I do on the side, but predominantly coaching people who like come from African countries who are struggling with fitting in Europe, who just do not know how the system works, the language works, what do I need to prepare before coming. There's a lot of questions which I had before coming or before studying, which I want to be able to answer those questions for students who do not necessarily have someone who can answer it for them. I mentor people. I have like a mentee who was coming So you're from Cameroon. He knows it's going to be challenging. Reached out to me. Can you just mentor me through the whole process? I don't know what I'm going to need help with, but I know I'm going to need help with a lot of stuff. Can you just be my mentor? I love that. If you're aware of the fact that you're going to be in a situation where you probably need help,
Yeah.
vulnerable enough to ask for help,
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot, coaching, mentoring, and just making YouTube videos and traveling and seeing the world, interacting with different cultures. Those are now the main extracurriculars.
That's what you mean by your ambitions have changed.
Exactly. So I'm less of the let's become a neurosurgeon, because that's the biggest thing you can achieve in the medical world. I'm like, why do I need to do that? Like,
Yeah.
realistically, why am I doing that? For who am I doing that? Is it for myself or just to prove a point to someone whom I don't even know who I'm proving the point
Or
to?
to prove a point to
But
your
now
country.
I'm doing it for myself. And I think just I'm being true to what God has put in my heart.
Nice. I was going to say something, but the words have run
Let's
out of my.
chat.
Yeah, I was going to say that he also makes videos, as he has mentioned,
yeah, I
and
do.
talks a lot about medicine. I don't know if he's going to be talking a lot about medicine moving forward, considering the change of ambitions.
Probably, I'm still gonna stay in the medical field
Yeah.
somewhere, not just
Yeah.
the typical way.
But he has a lot of videos, and definitely check it out. The name of the channel is on the screen. I'll also leave a link in the video description. So, and moving on to the next question, which I believe you have also touched a bit on your YouTube channel, but maybe you can just give us a summary. What were your expectations when coming here versus your reality? You pointed earlier that you didn't exactly know what to expect. Maybe in some other ways there were things you expected, like, okay, this is how the bachelor's would be, or this is how the master's would be.
Firstly, I would definitely really recommend, if you want to know more about this, check out the YouTube video I made, because I really dive into that, especially in the bachelor's phase where everything was like fresh and I was just like having the shocks of everything that
Yeah.
I expected and how reality turned out to be. So I didn't plan to study medicine, so I didn't have any like particular vision for the medical program. But I just had a vision for studying in a university here, you know, just like how is student life in the Netherlands. And I expected a lot more of what I saw on TV, which is also not necessarily accurate because that was American system, mostly American systems. People out there caring for each other, having fun, studying together, doing like growing together. I don't know. I just had a very dystopian. I don't know what the word is, but I had a very rosy picture of what it was going to be. You know, first day, make friends, be friends for the rest of your study period, like keep each other accountable, help each other grow and stuff like that. Because I'm a people person. So like most of what I expected was geared towards people. But then when I got there, partly due to the fact that I was starting to study in Dutch, yeah, it was just hard. My humor was not gotten. People were not as outgoing as I expected. People just would see you at the parties and you dance together and like you'll be vibing together, but then they see you the next day in school and it's like they don't know you. I'm like, what is? Like they'll pass you like you're not even there. I'm like, hey, did I do something wrong? Did you dream about me? Like, I don't get it. I think it's just cultural differences which I didn't understand. Like, if you ask me now, I can explain to you why it is because I've understood it and I've talked to people about it. Like, planning to go see your friends. Like,
bruh, like people have it in 3 weeks on their calendar. I'm seeing this person. I'm like, 3 weeks.
bro.
Like, even the Bible says that today has its own problems. Don't worry about tomorrow.
No, but I mean, now I'm like the biggest planner I know, right? Like, I plan in May for May next year, or in November.
Well,
now I'm planning for.
I'm not as bad as
Yeah,
that.
I'm a little dramatic because if you do so many things, you have to plan, right?
Yeah, but I've also become a planner too after staying here for a while.
You cannot not like we had to plan this like 2 weeks in advance. You just cannot not plan it.
Yeah.
So it's just the system. But then if you're coming into the system and you don't know these things, you can easily get shocked by it, and it will take you time to actually like adapt to it. Whereas if someone just told you before, expect this and this and this because based on where you're coming from, these are things you could expect which can shock you. That would save a lot of time, and that's why I coach.
Before this guy bails out on us. Gotcha. All right. So still on cultural differences, moving on to my next question, the language barrier. You mentioned that for your masters, you have to know Dutch. How was that for you?
I decided to choose violence. One thing about me is
I don't know what that means, but it was funny.
I'll never choose the path of least resistance. That's just something about me. So when I came to the Netherlands, I was applying for medicine in English because you can start in English, like I mentioned. But because to be able to get registered as a Dutch trained physician, you need to be able to speak Dutch, and your patients are all Dutch. The master's is only in Dutch.
Throughout your bachelor's, you can decide to do English. Okay.
And then the master's is all in Dutch, regardless of where you study in the country. When I came to the open day of the medical program, this one lady was trying to convince me of something which I was not buying. For context, there's 340 spots, more or less, for medicine for Maastricht. Out of those 340 spots, normally about 40 to 60 or to 75, I think is the max, are reserved for the English program. So that means, quick math, the remaining 200 and something are reserved for Dutch, right? For the Dutch program or the Dutch track.
Yeah.
It's an English track and a Dutch track. In total, 340. English is always a minority, like the English track is always a minority.
Yeah.
And the Dutch has the majority. But then the little caveat there is, if you're a Dutch student, Dutch speaking student, you can apply for the English and the Dutch track. Because
I thought the two tracks run simultaneously.
they run simultaneously.
Why do you apply
So you
for
can
the two?
apply for both. Like it's one medical program.
Yeah.
But then you can specify if you want to be considered for the English one or for the Dutch one, right?
Why would you be considered for two?
Because you just want to get into medicine.
I'm confused.
Okay. It's one medical program.
Yes.
Right?
And you have two tracks.
And there's two tracks, the English track and the Dutch track.
Running simultaneously. Yeah.
Right? There's 300 spots. Let's say you apply for the English track. There's 2,000 people applying for medicine, 2,000 plus. If your rank number is the first 300 and something, you get a spot in medicine.
Yeah.
Now, in those spots, there's people who apply for the English track and the Dutch track.
Yeah.
If you apply for the English track and your number is inside the 340, but you're not among the first 40 people, you don't get a spot in the English track because the English track only has 40 spots.
Oh.
So your number is high enough, but you're not high enough for the English track.
And you have less chances of being in the English track because it's the minority.
Exactly, right? But that lady in the open day was trying to convince me that Dutch students and people who speak only English have the same chance of getting in. I'm like, ma'am, if you look at the numbers, if you are a Dutch student and you can apply for both because you can speak English and Dutch, so regardless of your rank number, if you fall in the 350, you have a chance, you get something. And English students who are just limited to the first 40, even if the chances are high if you speak both languages. So I was not buying what she said. So after the open day, I went back and I fast forwarded my language courses. So I applied for the English program still, but then there's a box you can tick which says you're applying for the English program. But if your number is high enough to get you into medicine, but not high enough to get into the English program, you can be considered for the Dutch program.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So that also improves your rank.
That also improves your chance of getting in. But then when you get in, you still have to pass the Dutch language exam to show them that you can study in Dutch. So that's what I did. And so I started studying in Dutch because my number was high enough to get into medicine. I was 200 and something. So I have been studying medicine the whole time in Dutch. So that makes a whole different dynamics because the language barrier for me came way earlier than it would normally come for the medical students who come from abroad.
Usually to come during that master's transition. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a much harsher transition because you're in the hospital, you have to talk with patients, you have to explain complex ideas. It is a big shift. And a lot of my classmates struggle with that, but I'm thankful that I got that in the beginning. But the language barrier was it was tough in the beginning. It's medicine already, right? And I've been speaking Dutch for like 7 months. So of course I was not fluent in any way. Understanding was really good because I'd exposed myself a lot, but the speaking was not really that fantastic. And it's a tutorial system, like I told you. That means you constantly have to explain stuff to your classmates. It's not like you just come sit there and getting lectures. I would have loved that. But you have to constantly present your findings to people and like talk about stuff and discuss. Year one, I was spitting bars, let me tell you. I was just like giving loose words and my classmates would have to like make sense of what I was saying. But they were so kind. They were always like, yeah, you would get it. I know they didn't get what I was saying. I know. But they were always so polite. I think that happened because if they were not polite, I would have dropped out. Because it was just so intense. And like you have to study stuff, translate the stuff you're studying in Dutch to English so you can understand it. Understand it, then translate it back to Dutch so you can present it. It was just a lot of back and forth. Presentations, which would take my classmates like 2 hours to present because the Dutch efficiency, would take me like 4 or 5 hours to make because you just start going back and forth. I had to learn a lot of stuff and just understanding because all my classmates, or most of them were Dutch. So I was like one of the only people who was not like Dutch speaking native. So that really played on my self-esteem and confidence, and like imposter syndrome kicked in, and like just understanding their way of doing things was just mind-boggling. And like coupled with the fact that you cannot express yourself, so like everything was just around the language barrier was just like stressful.
Look at you now being a coach.
Right.
Having
because
low self-esteem.
No one has to go through what I went through. Literally, you don't have to. Because if someone just told me, Hillmann, you could expect this, tackle it this way.
It would have helped a lot. But I can imagine that's the case for medicine and probably few other courses, because for most other courses in Netherlands generally, it's they're quite open to speaking English.
Yeah, but I met a girl the other day from Nigeria actually, who is studying to be I think it's a physiotherapist or a manual therapist, one of the physiotherapists kind of thing. and she's doing it in Dutch. Literally, she almost broke down when she was talking to me because of the challenge, like how challenging it is studying in Dutch.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna hopefully make a video with her sometime soon just to hear her story. But it was just seeing other people go through these struggles, and like that's why I do what I do,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people need to know
Yeah.
it's doable. We don't have two heads. Look at my one head, you one head. So it's not magic or rocket science. It's doable. But if you don't have the proper guidance, it's easy to give up because it's just stressful.
I mean, yes, we have one head, but ambitious levels
Level
are
day.
also different. You said you were over ambitious. Moving on to the next question. It's about support that you have gotten from your school. And I know you have mentioned support in a way of helping you grow, giving you opportunities to really do stuff. But this question is more about like maybe there is some financial support. Maybe the school provides therapy. I've had that in my previous episodes. Or maybe the school provides student counselors, people you can reach out to, people that can guide you, or maybe mentors.
So everything you just mentioned, the university gives that as well in Maastricht. So it's just, guys, I love my university. University, make me an ambassador, please. I need to be an ambassador. They offer all that, so like psychological help and stuff like that. An example, a case study which can really give you context. During COVID, like there was this wave of COVID, and like students were struggling with getting means and like not being able to work, so their extra source of income like fell away.
Yeah.
I was my last year when COVID hit. It was just tough to like work on the side and do a lot of stuff. And on top of that, I lost really a lot of family members close to me. Like a lot of people died at the same time. And for me, that was just like mentally very stressful. I'm someone who can push through all these things, but at some point I was like, I need to take care of myself. My mentor from the faculty also encouraged me because she understands me well. So she encouraged me to like take a break and do all these things. Normally I will not take a break because where I come from, you don't take a break. You keep going.
We
You
don't
drop
know
dead.
what breaks.
What is break? What is that? Who is that?
What is
Who?
break?
Yeah, the ghetto. So I was encouraged to take a break and stuff like that. And one thing which I found really, really nice was the fact that at some point I had to go to Cameroon for like funerals and stuff. And the university really financially enhanced me. Like they financially were like, okay.
The university itself.
Yeah. So my
Wait,
faculty.
the loans are from the government.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the university itself was like, okay, this is a student of ours. He has this situation going on now, given the wave of COVID and everything, given his mental health, given all these things. We as a board of the university decide we're gonna give you this amount of money to enable you do the things you're doing now because you need the help. And that was not just only me. There was like a whole subsidy, like a whole fund set up to help students who were hit by COVID, to help students who were disadvantaged because of multiple reasons. If you have a disability, they give you financial support. If you are open to, because sometimes you have to also like be open to receiving this help, you have to look for the help, you have to show them that you actually need the help because they would not know if you don't tell them. Like they cannot know what they don't know. And sometimes you have to also be proactive in getting help or exposing yourself to situations where you can get the help. But there is a lot of help. If you want to go abroad, there's advisors to tell you how to do it. If you want to, like, they would even go to the point of talking to the universities you want to go to just to make sure that everything is okay for you to go as a student. Like, they really do their best to make sure that everyone who passes through their system gets the most out of the system.
And this is, I mean, that's where you come from anyways, or that's where you currently are. This is for Maastricht.
Yeah.
Do you believe this is the same for most other universities, or you can only speak for Maastricht?
I would assume to a certain level, like at least 60% of it could be reproducible in other universities as well. But Maastricht has a high international student population, so that makes them have a different demographics where they have to like look into a lot of problems that affect international students.
Moving on to the next question, and I think you've covered this in the previous questions.
I've covered everything right. Okay.
Yeah, right. We should just
end this.
wrap up already. What else is left to say? But this is more of a question of like, what is the program like? Previously, I talked about your own program, like what you're doing. But this question is more of generic. Still in the medicine, biology space, more like, what are the programs like? I feel like you've answered like 80% of this already. But I think one of the specific sub-questions in this is like, how are your grades calculated?
Oh, yeah.
How does your thesis, project, research, how do all those things work in this kind of program?
Okay, that's a good question. That's actually a different question. Good thing you specified, because I love my university. Have I said that enough? How many? If you count how many, I love my university. I know in like international business is different.
Yeah.
But for medicine, we don't have grades. From the bachelor's, from the onset, which has changed. Remind me to say why it has changed.
Yeah.
We just have pass fail. Good. So like you get a number. So you know if you have 90%, you have 80%. But basically, if you have 80% or you have 95%, in the end, that all counts as the same thing because that's a good.
Yeah.
If you have 56 or you have 78, in the end, it's all carries the same weight in your transcript because that's a pass. And I love that because that just eliminates the whole competition system where you're trying to constantly like compare yourself with other people, because everyone just passes or everyone gets a good. Or you can either pass or get a good, but it's not like everyone gets that, because you need to be like really high. You need to have an 80% and above to get a good. And that ultimately counts you getting like cum laude or something. So it's still possible to like get a distinction or get an honors or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like they encourage that, because if you pass, and that's all you need to become a good doctor. So like we don't have that system. So if you ask me what my GPA in the bachelor's, I don't know. To finish the bachelor's, we don't have thesis. So I didn't write a
The
thesis.
distinction level, right?
I'm in the honors level, which is different because you have the cum laude and the honors. The honors is for extra motivated people. It's just a whole complicated thing. But
You just said there is no competition, and now there is who is more motivated. Isn't
exactly.
that
So
competition on its
you
own?
choose to do the honors program. So it's like
Okay,
if you want to do extra, do the honors program.
Yeah.
But then the cum laude is just people who can, for example, just get high grades by studying,
yeah,
and then they get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But they don't necessarily choose to like do extra. So when you finish your bachelor's, you just do exams and you finish your bachelor's.
Okay,
And the
okay.
master's just rotations. You have a
Okay.
scientific rotation, which is like research and then
Yeah.
writing a paper.
Yeah.
So that counts the thesis, but then it doesn't really carry the same weight as a thesis because you rarely fail it. It's really different in that system, where I think if I studied in America, I would be more way focused on my grades and stuff.
Yeah.
Although I know in America they're changing it now as well to make it pass fail for a lot of things. But we've already been there, we've done that, and we've been doing that for years.
Been there, done that.
Now the curriculum of Maastricht University is I'm such a plug. I'm so plugging Maastricht University, but Maastricht University has a new medical curriculum for the English track where they don't have exams. Like we had exams and you get pass fail good, and now they do not have exams.
For the bachelors,
Yeah.
now they do not, or they are planning on.
No, they do not. Like the English track of medicine, the Dutch still has exams.
Okay.
But the English track is like a pilot that started last year. They do
So
not have
just
exams.
pass.
No, you don't.
Oh.
You don't. There's nothing which you evaluated upon which you give you pass, fail, good. You do have projects,
Yeah.
which require you to assimilate your knowledge and skills and stuff which you've learned,
Yeah.
and to show that you are growing and progressing as a medical student.
Yeah.
So everyone has a personal portfolio which is graded by their mentor and other faculty members,
Yeah.
and based on that they can track your individual progress as a student.
Yeah.
But the whole thing of we take exams together and I get a grade, you get a grade, and it's pass or good, they don't have that anymore.
Okay.
We still have progress tests for the whole country, which every medical student takes 4 times a year, so
Yeah.
24 times in total. But like the block exams, the course exams, which I had to take in the bachelor's, the new students don't have to take that.
Okay.
Because the focus is on you are a student, you're a medical student, Dillian. We want to make sure you are becoming the best doctor you can be. Not in comparison to other doctors, but just you as a
can
person.
be.
How much growth are you showing, and how good of a doctor you're becoming as a person, not necessarily in comparison to other people. So I love it. There's still a lot of like tiny like
Yeah.
tweaks that have to be made in the program
Yeah.
because it's a new pilot. But the idea and the innovative thinking
Yeah.
that goes into it, I'm a fan.
It's quite interesting because it feels like every student has that attention,
Yeah, that's the point.
because you can see how everybody is
Everybody's growing.
individually
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also kind of selling Maastricht a lot on here, but
Yeah.
you're only selling this to the Dutch. You know that, right? You do know that,
No,
right?
I mean, you mean like because
Of the
tuition?
finances.
No,
yes.
no. Dangote's son or daughter, does he have son or daughter? They could watch this. Tony Lumelu, his daughter could be watching. You never know. There's people who have the money in that continent.
Yes,
People
but
have the money.
the majority of people that you're speaking to are actually Dutch.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, right? But I mean, keep selling. I don't have any problems
Like
with
the
you
watches are
sell-
Dutch.
Not the
Oh,
watches,
like
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Yeah.
anybody's going to be watching this and be like, I would do that, it's mostly a Dutch person.
No, but like they could also see the university as in general and be like, okay, I want to go to that university, but not necessarily study medicine.
Okay, that's
know?
I'm not trying to spoil your business, you know. I'm just
He said, spoil your business.
I'm not trying to spoil your request for ambassadorship, you know. I'm just but I think it makes sense that seeing how Maastricht is a good university, if you want to consider other things, or if you have access to old money, or if you are enough with the odds, you get my point. You can consider medicine. Definitely not me anyways. Moving on, and you've highlighted this a lot when you talked about extracurricular activities and the different things you expose yourself to, but so what are the valuable skills that you have aside learning Dutch? Well, because that is a skill I've been trying. It's not easy. But what are the valuable skills you have acquired so far?
I think one from studying medicine here in Maastricht University that has like literally flown, like overflowed into every area of my life, the problem solution mindset. Oh, guys, bring me a problem. I'm like, okay, bong, good. What's the problem? How do we break this problem down
Yeah.
so much that we have concrete solutions for every part of that problem, because that's basically what you're taught in the problem
Yeah.
in the program.
Yeah.
Before I moved here, I was a very vague thinker. So it's like I really struggled in the beginning to go do research myself,
Yeah.
summarize my findings, bring my findings back, present my findings in a coherent way so people can understand what I'm trying to say.
The major highlight for you has been how you now approach situations, problems, or just life generally.
Yeah.
Can start bringing my problems.
Yeah,
to,
come with them.
to
I'm a
you.
coach. That's literally what we do.
I hope you're not very expensive.
Now I'm not, but if you don't
Wow.
come early enough, you might just get this.
So you talked a lot about extracurricular activities and the different things you started doing outside work, studies, program. How is it like for you balancing all these studies and everything with your interests? And please don't say the key here is balance. I've had that a lot on this series. Please tell me concretely what you are doing about it. Don't just say
It's really about balance.
I mean, you always strive to achieve some balance, but I don't think you ever achieve that balance. Like you never achieve the balance. But I know for myself, I use a lot of I implement a lot of the things I also coach people to do. And it's been a struggle, especially in the beginning, trying to like juggle all these things which I find passionate as well, and like doing medicine, which takes a lot of time. It has been a constant struggle. And I know one thing I really struggled a lot with, which for me comes because I'm such a people person, was maintaining like my close relationships, my close connections. Getting busy with all these things in med school, because I know one of the biggest determinants of your quality of life and your life expectancy is people. The amount of quality relationships you have in your life, right? And I cannot know that and not input the same amount of effort and priority into that. But then it also depends on the reciprocity from other people and people reciprocating, and a lot of factors go into that. But I really struggle with that part because it was just not only dependent on me. But one thing I've come to learn with that is it's a constant process. It's an ongoing process. You have to be able to like meet people halfway and just sometimes accept that people may not be necessarily in the place to meet you halfway as well. That's just with regards to people. It could apply in different ways as well. But it's all about doing your part, like having clear what your vision is, because you have to know yourself. Balancing all this thing comes from knowing yourself, because my classmates don't understand how Hillmann travels. Some of them think I'm into drugs. Like they think I sell drugs. Like they really think I do fishy things. But I know I don't, and I don't care about what you think. But it's just the way I live my life is really a reflection of what I find important. It's a reflection of what I prioritize. I know how much I learn from traveling. I know how much I benefit from having close relationships. I know how much I love people. So if I'm going to be in a place where I have to compromise a lot of my people time and like traveling time, it really has to be something which is really important. Knowing my priorities really enabled me to like let my priorities reflect my time investments. And it's like sometimes that changes. Sometimes you need to prioritize your health more. Sometimes you need to prioritize your traveling more or your relationships more. But as long as you have the priorities, you can always follow, like, track which one is dominating for a longer period of time and adjust if necessary.
That whole conversation or that whole point on priorities, I really relate with it because, for example, some people ask me how I'm able to make a lot of videos and all those stuff, and I talk
also
about
wonder.
like, it's priorities. It's all about finding the balance. But I think once you understand yourself, what your interests are, what you would like to do, I think that helps how much you balance your time. Maybe you're more of a studies, then that can affect your relationships with people, and you have to accept that.
Exactly.
But if you are a people person, that can also maybe affect your studies in some ways, and you have to accept.
Thank you for the summary.
Felt like you wanted to.
No, I'm just like that's it. Like the acceptance. You have to.
You have to accept.
No, and once you know yourself, you can accept it. Because I'm like, I'm gonna have a lot of money. That I know. Like God has put me on this earth for special things. I know that. I'm gonna have a lot of money or resources or whatever it is, right? But this is I never want this to compromise my relationships, right? So it's like I know a lot of people who are successful nowadays, if you look at the world, they have sacrificed a lot of their social relationships to get to where they are. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay with not getting that far as long as my relationships are intact. But that's just because of me.
A really good point. You see, it's not just about studies in Netherlands anymore. There are also some coaching tips. Moving on to Laura, we're almost done. What are the job prospects like for you? You pointed out earlier that with your bachelor's, you can already work in certain healthcare. With your bachelor's certificate, you can already work in certain healthcare systems. But also, like with your master's, what are those job prospects?
That's one great thing with studying medicine medicine because like when you study AI or you study like business or something, you have to like do internships in like top organizations to increase your CV because like that shows your track record and
Yeah.
stuff. With medicine, you don't need to do all that. You can do that if you want to like really climb up the ladder in like academia and stuff like that. But like we said, my priorities have changed. So like you don't really need that because the Netherlands has a specific system with medicine where they're only taking the amount of people that they need to be doctors in a certain point. So it's like they don't train more doctors than they would need and you're done. And like now in the Netherlands, if you need a job as a junior doctor, there's jobs everywhere. And they have a really good pay comparatively.
It's relative.
Exactly. So you don't really have to worry about that much. So when you finish, you apply to the jobs available and you most likely get in. So the prospects are not really that scary with regards to medicine. But then if you want to do something outside of medicine, you want to do something like, let's say you study medicine and you want to do global health, public health, health systems, health economics, then you have to pave your own path.
Yeah.
And your medical degree still helps you with that because you're a medical doctor after all.
Yeah.
But then you have to like also build your credibility in whatever field you're trying to venture into.
Makes sense. Moving on to the next, loan options. You talked about, getting loans, but you also said that you were already qualified for the tuition fee before you subscribed to the loan.
Yeah.
Did you get admission before the loan?
Yeah, you have to.
Okay.
So you apply for the loan.
So, but what are the other loan options for people who still want to, man, if you are on loan on 32K,
that's
I'll be
not
praying for you.
realistic. And I think probably that's where there's a gap in my knowledge is I'm not familiar that much. Like I know the scholarship options because I worked with the scholarship office for a time, but I'm not familiar with that many other loan options outside because the loans in the Netherlands are also like accessible for all EU citizens. But if you're not EU, then tricky.
But do you also have self-funded means that you can recommend for anybody? Maybe
Private, I mean?
No, I mean like, for example, somebody wants to work here and pay for their tuition fees. Do you have any suggestions on that? I know in the previous episode, I talked about a lot of freelancing options that are out there. You can work during summer.
Yeah, I mean you can work during summer. That's for sure. There's always jobs and like English speaking jobs as well in the big cities. So there's always something for you to do if you actually want to work. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that territory.
And now we have come to the very last question. Do you have any advice, tips? I mean, you have shared this a lot in the previous questions, but what advice, tips would you give to anybody who wants to study medicine in Netherlands? Either they are here, the EU, or they are from Cameroon, from Nigeria, from international anywhere.
Do your research, know what you're getting yourself into, or like just be sure of what you want. Ask for help, because a lot of people try to figure it out themselves. And the Netherlands is a very interesting country. Like, I would recommend this country to anyone who can come to the country. Like, if you really want to study in an environment where you can grow as a person and just explore all the possibilities that there are for you to grow as a person, I would definitely highly recommend this country. There's a lot of logistics that go into like getting yourself here and like actually getting admission here.
Interesting, yeah.
But like there is help for that. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. If you need help, definitely reach out to me. My links are gonna be in the description there. I help like coach and stuff like that. So if you need help with like just figuring out stuff or like have questions which you would like to have answered, you can definitely reach out, but ask for help. But in general, this is a great place to study. Like the connections, the network, like there is. Like you made the joke about how many countries I've not traveled to. I do think that applies for countries where I know people. There's not that many countries on this earth where I would point and say I don't know someone from this country. Maastricht University, okay, let me stop at Maastricht University. But I think it's just there's so much opportunity here to network far and wide. Like when you come to study in Maastricht, for example, you don't live with the same network if you expose yourself because people come from all over the world. And those are networks which you'll find in some other places, but I think the Netherlands is very unique because of its location, the country, its economy and everything. So it's a great place to like kickstart your career in.
I was also going to quickly, just came to my head, you are not using the Schengen visa.
No.
Okay, so you have access to more countries than someone like me on the Schengen visa.
No, I did. Previously, before I became a citizen, I did have...
Oh, well, I thought with your family here, it was...
No, because it's still Schengen. So, like, I couldn't go to Ireland. My sister lived in Ireland, and I had to pay, like, I had to get visas every time.
Your family, if your parents are here already...
But you're not a citizen, so you have the residence permit, and it's still just Schengen.
Oh, because they didn't give birth to you here?
No, they didn't.
Oh, so if they had given birth to you here,
you would have a passport. And then you're a citizen.
Okay.
Then with the passport, you can go far and wide.
Yeah.
But with the residence permit, we're the same in terms of countries.
Yeah. But yeah, the Schengen visa has, I think it's 30, how many countries? I'll put the figures on the screen. But yeah, you have access to a lot of
A lot of
countries. Yeah. It's just me who is not as travel ambitious
Exactly.
as,
No, there's a difference between having the opportunity to do something and actually doing it. You can take a
and also
horse.
having the finances too. So
It's cheaper. It's much cheaper than you think.
yes, because you have travel fund.
No, no, no. Let me debunk that for you guys. No, it is super cheap to travel in the EU. And if you know someone like Nigerians, you guys are everywhere. So there's a high chance you know people somewhere. If you know people in different countries, you can just stay with them. And then you pay like 20 euros for a return flight. Bro, you would spend that 20 euros if you stay in this country. You might as well go see a new country.
We would argue about that after this video. Let's not expose ourselves. It's okay.
All right.
But yeah, we've come to the end. For me, like I always say, after every episode, I feel like I already know everything, but then I go into every new episode even with new information like I have gathered here. And I believe, or I'm hoping that's the same for you. I hope you have learned a couple of things. If you're interested in medicine in the Netherlands or studying in the Netherlands, be it your master's, or if you're looking at what school should you try out, Maastricht University. I hope you are watching this video. If you are giving him ambassadorship, you are also giving me something because
Right. There's still hope. They can still do it.
because you saw him here. But anyways, Maastricht University is a good option, as you have seen with the different testimonies shared. That's really it for this episode. Thank you, Hillmann.
It was a great conversation.
It was really.
a great
I
conversation.
love conversations like this, just so natural. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, we're done.
It's always hard ending the video, so I just keep going on.
Right, let's just
I'll
wake up and
leave
leave.
important information in the video description, links, his contact information. Reach out to him before it gets super expensive. I think we can just end this here. How do you end? Okay. Now we can end. Thank you so much for joining this episode. Yeah, please give this video a like, share with others. Anybody who you know would benefit from this, please share with them. Subscribe and watch out for the next episode. See you.
It's the confusion for me.
Yeah, it's often hard ending videos, honestly.
It's more about you.
All right. How do you start again? You ready? Good. Okay, let me put this microphone down here. If I move forward, it's nice they're looking at me as we talk, but also look at them. So it's not just like we're just talking to ourselves and the camera. So try to look at them too. I have to take a pause. Sorry. This light is about to die.
The light.